on, babies.
Welcome to the Swim Mind Sports Show, ladies and gentlemen. Friday, live, Thursday, May 15th. Jason Tatum's legs snapped under the pressure of holding up Joe Mazzula and the Celtics' incessant need to be right. I'll tell you all about that. We'll tell you why Bobby was right all along. We'll tell you why you need to continue to listen to us about the Celtics.
Specifically me.
Forward. Not specifically Bobby. He was just right on a couple things, and I'm trying to give him a little bit of flowers. It's not really in my personality to do that, and I immediately take it back, you fucktard. So let me start with the opening take, not you. I'm going to take the Celtics. Look, here we are. They've got the win. They got a nice game 6 at home, and Jaylen Brown, no Jason Tatum. Obviously, the big story is Jason Tatum's injury. And everybody wants to jump to moving forward. What are the Celtics going to do? There was the backstory of the Celtics being sold above the second apron, $500 million payroll next year. Here's the one thing you need to stop doing, all of you idiots, you morons. Stop talking about blowing this team up, and specifically stop talking about trading Jaylen Brown. Number one, they're not going to do it. So it's not even worth talking about. And the little sprinkles of trading Jason Tatum, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop with the Cooper Flag trade for Jaylen Brown is a top 10 to 15 player in this league. Jason Tatum is a top 5 to 3 player in this league. You wait generations to find these type of players. Go ask Philadelphia 76ers fans. You don't trade these guys. You retool. You rebuild. You start fresh in different ways. You don't do it by trading your all-NBA players, ever. The only time those guys should ever leave your team is if they force their way out. And I'll tell you this.
Well, they're fat like Luka.
We'll get to that one too. Jason Tatum will 100% blow himself out of town if you blow up this roster. The only time he's missed a game is in his entire life because he blew his Achilles. So just enough with the pie in the sky, blow up the Celtics talk. Stop it. Stop it. There's plenty of things that they can do beyond that. Bobby, your opening take.
I'd just like to make a statement first. Beginning a colon cleanse the day before a 3-hour mandatory work meeting is not advisable. Just wanted to put that out there. That being said, on to the sports. We have 3 teams trending down. That's your Celtics. That's your Red Sox. That's your Bruins. We got 1 team trending up right now. That's the Patriots, and there's one reason why. That's Mike Vrabel. All reports coming from Patriots mandatory minicamp is that he was the star of the show. He was enthusiastic. He was a big-time coach that was walking around coaching everybody, and it's something that we need to have a little bit of good news and a little bit of hope moving forward, as right now the trend seems like the Patriots will go undefeated this season.
Oh, God, here we go. Here we go. Speaking of colon cleanse, Ray, how is your mother? Your opening take, please.
Absolutely. On Monday night, the NBA had its draft lottery. It once again showed just how rigged professional sports can be, shipping Luka Doncic to the Los Angeles Lakers in order to secure the first overall pick in this year's draft, Cooper Flag. 5 years ago, I made a bet with Rich and Bill about Joe Burrow being a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. In 5 years, and 5 years later, I won that bet, $25 richer. Now, after going back and forth with Rich on the text exchange, we have a new bet. When Cooper Flag's rookie contract ends, he will be a top 10 player in the NBA. At times, I feel bad taking food off his family's plate. But he is here and once again proposing these outrageous bets, and I gladly accept, and I might quit my job and just take all of Rich's money. Thank you.
Bottom of the total poll dumb right there. So we will be talking about the Celtics, mostly big Celtics show. Not only the Jason Tatum injury, not only the future of the Celtics, but hey, by the way, not sure if you noticed when Jason Tatum's leg did snap under the pressure of Mazzula's incessant need to be right. They were about to go down 3-1 to the New York Knickerbockers. So Mazzula Ball is on the hot seat. So a lot of Celtics talk this show. We're going to touch on Bobby's Patriots, the undefeated, soon to be undefeated Patriots. We've got a scheduled day, so Bobby can prove that to us. We'll run through those wins and losses. We've got a Bot Pod's Big Brain, which must be fantastic based on his opening take. And Simplest Minds of the Week, as always. This is the Simple Mind Sports Show, Friday Rewind, May 16th, live Thursday, May 15th. Welcome to the show. The Celtics are dumb front-running pussies. This is the same team they have been for 4 years running.
Well, my worst nightmare came true. Mazzula and Mayo are friends. What the fuck? Apparently they've known each other since Virginia. They have these docking sessions where they talk about ball and managing people.
7 won't be
vacation. I'm gonna quay all these. I'm gonna fucking watch them this week.
Do you say quay?
Is it not quay?
It's Q. It's Q. It's QUE. You idiot. It's nice to see 2 years into that intro video, always proven right. The Celtics are front-running pussies. Joe Mazzula is a bum, and it's still called the Q, not the Quay. Although that trend is, speaking of trends, I think we're getting people on that one.
Good.
Drop it in the Quay.
Drop it in the quay, baby.
Speaking of dropping it in the Quay, if you're not on our newsletter, please get on it. Go to supermindsports.com, click newsletter, put in your email. We'll send you the latest pods, the latest blogs. Blogged my ass off this week, Raymond. Fucking just churning them out.
You're the man. Bobby, how you doing?
I did a bunch.
He's got there is a blog released under his name. So if you're interested in that, again, go to the newsletter at supermindsports.com. It comes to you every Friday, free and easy. Click right in your email. Click. Run through all of them. No sweat. Also, go buy a t-shirt. They're very good. They're very funny. They're very comfy. Wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching, rate, subscribe, review, of course. I did notice something there in the break. Bobby, would you mind, first of all, new room?
Absolutely.
Thank you. And would you mind just standing up and taking us 2 steps backwards?
No.
Bobby has an unbelievable athletic tuck going on right now with his shirt and his fucking gym shorts. It is quintessential men's basketball league 40 plus. No, you have to stand by the wall. Stand by the wall. Look at that athletic tuck.
Put me in, coach. Put me in.
I mean, rock hard bod right there, Bobby. Good for you. But that athletic tuck is, that's nice.
Yeah,
that's nice.
I'm ready for whatever.
Yeah.
Who the fuck tucks their shirt in at home?
The athletic tuck at home.
I double tuck almost at all times.
Yeah, because he's got a wife beater on under there. Gray, I'm assuming. Black. Wow. I wouldn't have not had odds on that. Wow. No, thank you for that. The athletic tuck at home is fantastic. All right, Joe Mazzula destroys the Celtics, but however, they did get a win. So I would like to touch on the Game 6 win from the Celtics on the heels of the Jason Tatum injury. Look, if you asked me were they going to win that game, I would have told you yes. They're a better team overall without Tatum anyway. You see this all the time in sports, specifically in basketball. Your best player goes down, a team comes in, they've got motivation. They play a great game and they win that and they win the game. So let's start there. They won 127-102. Jaylen Brown led the way, 26, 12, and 8. Derek White, unconscious behind the line, 34 points. Luke Cornett, game of his life, nearly a triple-double with 7 blocks, 9 rebounds, 10 points. Came in for the dead fish that is Kristaps Porzingis, who should not see the court for the rest of this series.
He couldn't breathe, you son of a bitch.
Well, I don't give a shit. Fine. Then the only thing he gets to do is play the Greg Greeson role. Come in, 6 fouls, 4 minutes. That's all you get from now on. They had 6 guys in double digits, Pritchard, Horford, you name it, all-around effort there. They did take 49 three-pointers. They did make 45%, nearly 50% from behind the line,
round up.
50 attempts. I think they only had 30-something twos. So, yeah, they won. That's their formula. When you shoot 53s and you shoot at a 50% clip,
you win.
You win. They did win in rebounds, assists, turnovers, points in the paint. It was a pretty dominant performance. 14 less free throws than the Knicks, and they only shot 60% behind the free throw line.
Jaylen Brown had his highest assist game of his career with 12. That's pretty impressive.
And there was actual defensive effort at
What?
all stretches of the game.
Yep.
Yeah, defense was good. They got Jaylen Brown in foul trouble in the third quarter. He fell out in the fourth quarter.
Jalen Brunson, you mean?
Brunson.
Sorry, Jalen Brunson. Jaylen Brown was his primary defender, which was a nice adjustment from Mazzula. 5 fucking games in. Golf clap snap for you.
Weird.
Jay.
That took 5 games to figure that fucking shit out.
So look, not dead yet. Nice response. Give me your specific game notes from game 5 there, Bobby.
I mean, honestly, it kind of looked like the Knicks kind of fell flat. They felt a little bit like they weren't as mentally strong. Like they kind of went into the game thinking that they were going to lose. They didn't have the same edge that they came out with in all these other games. I think the Tatum injury was in their head too. I think as far as the series, I think the Celtics have a little bit of momentum going into this game. I think the Knicks are going to sell out to win. They're gonna give all. I don't think that they were really trying to fully 100 sell out to end that series. I think they were kind of going for the game 6 at home. But yeah, the Celtics actually had defensive effort. That's what won the game. I mean, Luke Cornett looks about as good as Cooper Flagg maybe ever will in the NBA. That's probably a good bet right there. Will Cooper Flagg ever be better than Luke Cornett last night? That's what should be the bet.
That's a nice bet.
I'll take that one too.
Ray, your game thoughts on game 5?
The Celtics just moved the ball better. I mean, I don't know if they're playing with a purpose now, but they weren't forcing stupid shots or trying to get people going. It was just like, hey, we all can score. We can all do our job here. Let's just fucking just go out there and do it and show that we're the better team. And that's what they did. I think it was a great game. Defensively, it looks like they stepped up their defensive, like Bobby was saying earlier. That defense was way better in game 5 than it has been all series long.
Brown was just he was the linchpin keystone of the whole defense where he wasn't been. It was just, they built the whole thing around him. He just ball stopped. He was everywhere. He was a madman.
Can I ask a question real quick? Because I know you're going to say something, but what if the Celtics go on this magical run? Jaylen Brown puts his team on his back, and now he's a back-to-back NBA champion, NBA Finals MVP. What would that do to the Celtics team?
They won't, and we're not here to talk about that.
Okay.
And it's not going to happen. And it's going to stop on Friday night. You want to know why? Because Joe Mazzula is still the coach of this team. And I've heard this a lot too. The ball moved better. Ooh, it looked different. No, it fucking didn't. Go watch game 3. It's the same game, except Tatum's running the show. It's nearly the same statistical line as a team. They passed the ball. They moved the ball. They blew them out by 20. You know why the Celtics won game 5? Because they shot 50% behind the 3. They had a demanding lead, which was never in jeopardy. If you put Jaylen Brown in the pressure situations that Jason Tatum has put in, he will have 9 turnovers like he did game 7 against the Heat 2 years ago. He is not that player. It's just not going to happen. Game 5 was game 3. These are the games the Celtics win. When they hit their shots behind the line, behind the 3-point line, they win. Period. Story over. They've shot the most 3-pointers in NBA history. This is their game plan. It did not change in game 5. Not a thing changed in game 5 other than the defensive adjustments. I'll give you that. And the effort. Then the effort came from the haze of Jason Tatum going down and everyone feeling that they had to prove something, which they did. Clearly, they're better than the Knicks if they actually apply pressure. But let me tell you something. If they go into New York on Friday and they shoot 22% behind 3, season over, people. That's Mazzula Ball, and it's fucking dead, or at least it should be. If this is not a big enough sample size or a big enough slap in the face that you're going to lose to the Knicks, the Tatum injury is nothing to do with this. They were going down 3-1. They had a minimum of 14-point lead in every single game. They had a 20-point lead in 4 out of the 5 games, and they were down 3-1. Okay, so this is not a Tatum thing. This is a organizational. Let's bring Brad Stevens into the conversation because that's really where it starts. Their mentality was to double down and this year triple down on the nerd stats of the 3-point attempt rate and try to win basketball games that way. And just through attrition of playing that way, you lose an edge. You don't play as much defense. You're just firing away. You live and die by the 3. It's as old of a trope in basketball as you can find. And they tried to beat the odds that way. And it worked last year because, frankly, their competition was not as good. And they fell on their face this year. So we've got a whole segment about what's going to happen next. I want to kind of, Bobby, specifically, your time to shine. You've been telling us since the guy got hired that Joe Mazzula, and a lot of it is in jest because they did win a championship. So you had to eat a little bit of that last year. However,
the themes were the same, though. The themes were the same. You just said it. They worked.
Yes, and the crow, and it's come
one-trick pony.
You've come home to roost. Their philosophy and their mentality and his inability to be an in-game tactician, or even like his strength should be as motivational guy, or see when guys are fading. Like I'll give you the floor in a second. I just want to give you for instance, in game 4, before Tatum went down, that game, they what was the stat? The last 5 possessions of the third quarter, they didn't pass the ball at all. It was just
Tatum walked it up every single time. He dribbled till there was 7 seconds left on the shot clock, and then took a fadeaway shitty ass shot.
But it is credit that game he was hitting them. So okay, but you also can't win basketball games that way. Let's talk to Kobe Bryant about that. It's a coach's sorry, RIP. It's the coach's job in that point to pull your best player aside and go, look, we need to switch things up here. Here's what I want to do moving forward. And this is why I put a lot of this. It's not all on Mazzula. Some of it's on Tatum, but I think Tatum is the type of player that will 100% like adjust and acquiesce to whatever's best for the team if it works. So Mazzula Ball should be dead, Bobby. Some of this is going to move into what they're going to do in the future, but just in terms of them most likely losing this Knicks series due to the fact that they shot themselves out of it. I don't know your thoughts on that.
Here's the thing. Let me tell you what Joe Mazzula is. He is probably the perfect number 2. I'm going to compare him to somebody like a McDaniels. Mazzula probably knows all the stats, and he can give the information to the head coach. He can talk to basketball. He can talk to a strategy. But when it's time for the real decisions to be made and to be the head guy, he can't do that. He can't think on the fly. He doesn't have a strategy for that. I.e. Josh McDaniels, he can do everything behind the scenes, but when he's the guy, it all goes to shit. Okay, Mazzula is probably your ideal number 2, where he can handle all these ideas. Hey, coach, in this situation, these things are probably best for us. The other guy makes the call, because he's going to always go by those numbers instead of actually realizing what's the situation on the floor. It's just it was abundantly clear to me from day one, as we've stated, he's made it work. They hit it last year, but game 4, again, that was the critical moment. It was right there at the end. Tatum, they missed 8 shots in a row. He's walking up. They're doing the same thing over and over again. And then each time the Knicks go down, they get a 2. They're jacking threes, missing them. Like, it's basketball. At some point, you got to play to win. You don't play to do the same philosophy.
Hence why my half-joking Jason Tatum's leg snapped under the pressure of Joe Mazzula's incessant need to be right. That's almost what it felt like. When Jason Tatum's Achilles blew, it was on a play where they tried to switch up what they were doing, a.k.a. Jason Tatum was going to pass the ball. Jaylen Brown, who was having an awful game, tried to come off a pick in traffic at the top of the key, got the ball swiped from him because he was having a bad game, and Tatum had to react. But again, they're 24 feet from the basket. They're like, obviously, it's not Joe Mazzula's fault that Tatum's leg snapped. Like, the fact that he's played 1 billion minutes in the 7 years is probably why his leg snapped. But it's just this idea of, man, was he carrying a lot of fucking weight. And people want to come in and talk about game 5 here without him as well, maybe they don't need him. No, just wait till Derek White does not hit 6 of 7 3-pointers in the first quarter, and they rely on Jaylen Brown to go 1-on-2 or 1-on-3 or recognize a double team or try to initiate an offense. They're going to get blown out by 25 or 30. But it all comes back to the philosophy of Jason Tatum and Raymond, Brad Stevens, where it all started. It all started with Brad Stevens and them trying to replicate the Golden State Warriors. The Celtics are the precipice of the Golden State Warrior era basketball. Mm-hmm. They look what they did, and they double and triple down on it. And in my opinion, you've reached the peak of that. And you have to now adjust. You have to come back to the mean. Do you think Brad Stevens has it in him to do that? And he's in a great position to do it now. Like, the Tatum injury may be a blessing in disguise in that regard. We'll get to that. But do you think Stevens and Mazzula have it in them to change?
No, absolutely not. I mean, look, when we said that Stevens was walking away to become the new GM or president of basketball operations, we're like, oh shit, this is going to be a breath of fresh air. Ime came in, kind of changed a little bit, and then when he started fucking all the front office husbands' wives, then lo and behold, Joe Mazzula comes in.
I think it was just one wife.
Well, allegedly. And then Joe Mazzula comes in, and it's the same philosophy as Brad Stevens. He's his little minion, and that's what he wants. I think if you got rid of Joe Mazzula, the next guy that comes in, it's going to be the same thing. They want this stretch basketball where they're shooting threes. Everybody on the court can shoot threes except for Luke Cornett, but that's what they want on this team, and that's what this team does. They just want to, everyone can shoot threes, and it's annoying.
We'll get there. I do want to get back to this when we talk about the future of the Celtics, but Luke Cornett was known as a shooter before he came to the Celtics, by the way, on the Bulls and the Knicks. For some reason, he doesn't shoot him anymore on the Celtics for a team that wants everybody to shoot threes, to your point. I disagree with you from Brad Stevens. I don't think Joe Mazzula can do it. I think he's just
what they do with him is the tell. If they keep him, they ain't changing. If they get rid of him, they're changing because he can't change.
Well, not next year. Nothing's happening next year on that front. So let's see how that unfolds. So I do want to get to that. I want to talk about the Tatum injury, and I want to talk about the future of the Celtics. Let's just take a breather before we do that. Let's do some headlines with the obvious one.
Thank you there, Richard. This is Dr. Big Mac, your favorite dumbass, with the metabolism of a rock and a brain the size of a meatball. Let's get into the Boston shit show this week. First, the Celtics. Jason Tatum tore his Achilles. He just got fucked up bad. Without him, they're pretty much screwed. Down 3-2 versus the Knicks, kind of like me trying to run for the good stall after eating a family-sized bucket of fried drumsticks. Just pathetic and embarrassing because I have chronic diarrhea. The Red Sox, those bastards keep blowing games like it's their full-time job. They had 3 blown saves against the Tigers in the same game. They threw it away like I throw away my chances at keeping my feet. Diabetes. Diabetes. The Tigers finished off the sweep like I finish off Bobby's mother. 2 fingers and a tongue bath. Patriots rookie camp is happening. Will Campbell is starting to figure out the NFL while I try to figure out how to breathe without wheezing. These rookies have better football IQ than me, considering I can only shit with my shirt off, but do they have their own desk? Gotcha. Here's the cranked up, no filter version. The Mavericks win the NBA version with a 1.8% chance. Thinking it's not rigged after the Nico Harris, Luka Doncic debacle is about as believable as me saying I gave up McRibs and masturbation. And here's an update from the NHL playoffs.
I came all the way from Scotland. I thought the Leafs were going to win 2 games. They lost. It must have been the fact that the guys were so overwhelmed at the size of my massive fucking tits. They lost concentration. I am sorry. They let me sit on the bench. That's why they lost tonight. They were overcome by Scottish pheromones. They didn't know what they were doing.
Those were headlines with the obvious ones. Stay thick, Boston.
A Scottish Leafs fan was something else.
Those massive tits.
You know, she's pulled that joke like a million times around people, and that's what makes it funny.
Yeah. No, she knows what she's got going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Good luck with the feet, Ray.
Thanks.
Tatum's injury. So I've been flirting around it here. Just to dive into it, he's just 27. He turned 27 in March, so he's still young. The timetable, traditionally, conventional wisdom is 9 to 12 months.
Although I heard today a rumor that there's a different surgery for this now, that the doctor that performed it, it's a bridge they do. I'm not a doctor. I call myself a doctor, but it's a faster timetable.
I'm sure there is. I'm sure we got a real Stephon Diggs miracle on our hands right now, and Jason Tatum will be back by fucking Christmas. I'm sure, where did you hear that? Celtics. I live and die, bleed green for the Celtics.com. Doctor, MD.
It was on 98.5, but no big deal.
I mean, I would. Jason Tatum's dad said that he'll be back in 8 to 9 months. I would lean towards Tatum being back on the earlier side than the later side due to his age And also the fact that he is in incredible shape. He is incredibly motivated and dedicated to his craft and peak physical ability. And I think will take it extremely seriously. So I would lean on the earlier side in that. Like, I don't think we're going to go the entire season next year and not see Jason Tatum. But I think that's a March date at the earliest. Especially
then why would you even bother on the playoff contention, whatever? Yeah.
Well, we'll get to that. Why would they bother? What is your concern level, Bobby, on Jason Tatum's ability to get? Let's ask the question of Jason Tatum's ability to get back to his current playing level at any point, really. He's not going to be there next March, but 2027, call it.
My concern level is low that he won't be able to recover and be Jason Tatum again. Durant blew his Achilles out not too long ago. I believe he was older. He came back in the similar timetable and looked the same. He was older. He didn't have the same quite burst and play that he did. But I think Tatum will be fine. He's in his physical peak right now. And like you say, he takes it very, very seriously. So I don't think that he'll come back and be damaged goods.
Should he have played less games? Let me give you these numbers. 2017 to 2025. Here are the total number of minutes leaders. The list consists of Jason Tatum, Luka Doncic, Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell, Jaylen Brown. All obviously big names. Outside of Tatum, none of those guys have suffered an injury like this. Jason Tatum, between NBA games, Olympic games, playoff games, total of 699. He's played 24,351 minutes. The next closest guy is Luka Doncic, Fatty Luka, who's played 17,680 minutes. Do that math for me real quick, Raymond.
7,000.
That's a lot of basketball. That is a ton of basketball.
Especially when I'm sitting here suited up, ready to go this whole time.
Yeah, because Joe should have known that.
Do you know what the other people...
The
other people that have been complaining about this is that the NBA needs to have less games and have more time break in between playoff games. They already have fucking 2 to 3 days off in between playoff games. They don't need any more than that. I mean, come on.
I don't listen. I don't disagree with that. In all sports, injuries are a massive problem in all sports, and we can blame that on the players. We can blame that on the nerds. In baseball, it's the nerds' fault. The average Tommy John surgery right now is between 17 and 19 years old across America, because they're telling these guys to throw out of their asses, which is with as much torque as possible when they're 14 years old. Like, no shit, you're going to blow your arm out. And basketball, football, it's all the same. Everyone is taught to go 100% all the time. AAU, they're playing these sports all year round. No one's changing their muscle groups, playing different sports. Like, there's a lot of reasons why injuries are happening. But number one, just from a viewing standpoint, seasons are too long. Like, I don't need 82 games in basketball or hockey.
I don't need 162 games to find out that the Red Sox really suck.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
The Red Sox are very mediocre. I don't need that either. So whatever the reason, it is hurting the product. Like, the Celtics won the championship last year in large part because every team they played, their best player got hurt, basically.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
And Luka was fat.
It's called karma, apparently.
So I don't know what the answer is there, but I would take less in basically every sport. Even football is getting there now. 17, like, you're at your max. If you try to go to 18, you're going to see guys go down.
Next year.
Less is always more, especially in this society we have now. There's way too many other options, and less games creates more urgency, and more urgency creates better product.
So, yeah, I agree with that. I am really interested to see what the Celtics do next year. So the season's not over. They've got Game 6 in New York on Friday. I'd love Ray's scenario to play out that they go on a run and the questions come up about Tatum. And, that'd be fantastic.
They get through the series. They can handle the Pacers if they get through this series.
Yes. The overrating of the Celtics roster is at its peak bloom at this point. Your second best player is Derek White. I love Derek White. But if he's your second best player, you're not a favorite to win anything. Sorry. Drew Holiday is a step behind. He's not the guy he used to be. The age has definitely caught up to him this year. He's your third best. Your fourth best player is either Peyton Pritchard or Al Horford. So, because Kristaps Porzingis is a useless bag of dog shit right now. So, they're not NBA sees more men go down than Ray's mother. Well done, handsome Wayne. They're not in the greatest position to do that, Raymond. I'd like to see it, but
so we talk about the NBA being rigged as well. Do you think the NBA really wants Pacers versus Timberwolves or Pacers versus OKC?
Fuck no.
No, for a ratings juggernaut, they need either New York or Boston.
They're begging. They're begging for the Knicks. They're saying, "Give me some fucking Knicks."
Do you think
they want either?
The rigged NBA is looking ahead, knowing that the Pacers have a chance of getting there, and saying, "How many ratings can we get with a Game 7 of Boston and New York?"
Yeah.
Do you think the Celtics stand a chance of getting some calls on Friday night to push that thing to a Game 7?
Yep.
Because they're looking at a Minnesota, fucking
conspiracy.
Indiana NBA Finals. They're looking ahead.
Imagine that.
Or Oklahoma City. Yeah, Midwest. Great. Super
Yuck.
cool. Can't
Yuck.
wait.
If the Knicks make it, they're fine. They're good. But other than that, Denver, OKC, Minnesota.
Well, Minnesota is going to beat. I don't know. Yeah.
I'll just say, your market outlook there is not great.
Not good.
So don't be surprised if the Celtics get some shady calls in New York so they can get those Game 7 dollars in before that NBA Finals drags them down to the basement of the auction.
Mighty fine theory.
Look, next year is really interesting to me, okay, for the Celtics. We all know you've got a couple things going against them maintaining their same team. Also, just a quick toot. I said this at the beginning of the season. Any championship team that brings their entire roster back is an idiot. It never works. You should never do that. Toot, proven right again. They're certainly not doing that next year because they're not going to win the championship. And
it was the last time that starting five ever played a game together.
There you go. Next year's payroll for the Boston Celtics is $227,784,873. Here's some important numbers to look at. And I will try not to bog down into the boring details here. However, they are important when you look at the future of the Celtics. Next year's salary cap, $154.6 million. I don't know why the NBA has a salary cap. That number means nothing. It literally means nothing. I think you have to get to the floor of you have to get to a percentage of that floor. That's all that it does for you. The next number is the luxury tax threshold. That means something. $187.9 million. As soon as you get over that, you start paying taxes. If you're over it 3 out of 4 years, you start paying repeater taxes, which is where the Celtics are at. Then you have your first apron, $195.9 million. That's when your roster building capabilities start to get shrunk down. Under the first apron, there's trade limitations, there's sign and trade restrictions, there's mid-level exception restrictions, buyout market restrictions, all kinds of restrictions under the first apron. And then the second apron, which is where the Celtics currently sit, $207.8 million next year. Under the second apron, you basically can't do anything to your roster. You're almost set as is. And then if you're over there, if you're over the second apron for a certain number of years, they start taking draft picks away from you. So they really don't want that. They don't want the super teams.
Bullshit.
Well, that's what they said. That's what the CBA says. So that's the deal. And the Celtics are going to get under that second apron. Wick, after the sale, said that's a guarantee. That's happening because they can't build a roster over the second apron. And you're looking at a $250 million tax bill and a $500 million roster consisting of a guy named Kristaps Porzingis that's getting $31 million. So that's happening. Payroll cutting is happening. They're in the repeater tax. So they're paying something like $10.50 per dollar at one point in time. So what do? I started the show by saying, stop talking to me about blowing up the Celtics. We've talked about this before in this show. You don't have to do much to get under that second apron, and they can do 2, 3 fairly easy, simple moves, and that'll put them at $154 million. You trade Kristaps Porzingis, who's an expiring contract. You trade Drew Holiday, who still has some value for a championship contending team. And you trade Sam Hauser, who has value in the NBA as a really, really good three-point shooter. That's $73 million off your books. And even if your return is minimal, you don't need to get much back from that. Basically anything. You might have to give up some picks to get rid of a couple of those guys. You're now at $154 million. You're at the salary cap.
You're below the luxury tax.
You're below the luxury tax. You're way below first apron, way below second apron. So then you have three options if you're the Celtics and building some roster next year. Jason Tatum is basically not going to be there. So you can either I'm hearing a lot of popularity for tanking, aka being cheap.
From how much and on this show, Rich,
they're not going to be bad enough to tank.
No, and Rich has always said it. You don't suck. You that just brings the franchise into a suck mode. You don't do that. No tanking.
As long as you're going to have White, Brown, Pritchard, and they're going to win games.
Well, you're going to also get pieces off of those guys when you sell them. Yeah. So, yeah, you're going to have a good team.
If they blew out Porzingis, Drew Holiday, and Sam Hauser and did nothing, they just brought up kids. Jaylen Brown's due to miss a lot of time. He didn't get to the threshold of 65 games this year. You could potentially get in the play-in and miss the playoffs and be in the lottery. That's
okay. I wouldn't call that tanking, but be a low.
Yeah, tanking would be trading Jaylen Brown and restarting. I don't think that's not on the table. Yeah. That's not on the table. That moderate tanking would be moving into the season at $154.8 million. You're below the luxury tax line, so you're not paying luxury tax dollars. That's what I would consider cheap. Not tanking, but cheap. You've got an owner that just dropped $7 billion. He's got a team that is not championship ready. He's a year away from getting his superstar back. Let's just take this year and go with these guys, save the money. We'll spend the money next year. Okay. Option one. Option two, you take $30 million. You stay under the first apron. Okay. You limit your luxury tax dollars and you get a couple guys to play with that roster that we just talked about. And you fill out your front court. You get a couple wing depth, and these are mediocre players, $30 million in salary. It's not going to get you much. You might get a decent player and a couple role players there. But again, the luxury tax bill stays low, and you start to build maybe some type of nucleus for when Tatum comes back. Third option, you actually retool. And more importantly, you reinvent yourselves. You stop taking 53 pointers a game. Jaylen Brown's going to be the leader on your team. He is not a three-point shooter. He is not an ISO player. He is going to need a team around him. Can you bring Cornette back, bring Horford back, let Pritchard move into the Drew Holiday role, let the J.D. Davidson kid move into the Pritchard role, let the Schreiber, whatever his name is, move into the
Shireman.
Hauser role. Shireman, thank you. Let some of your kids come up, get them some time in a season that is not championship aspirations, and then go get some role players to fill, most importantly, front court. You're going to need to sign at least one starting front court player, and then some legitimate wing depth, which they really have not had much of for Tatum and Brown. And next year, work on reinventing yourself to play basketball and not be so Tatum and three-point dependent for when he comes back. And you can do that with $70 million and stay under the second apron and still have some flexibility there. You're going to pay a luxury tax bill, and you have potential to be still a top 3, top 4 team in the East. Make a run. You never know what can happen. I think that's your best bet. And I'll close on this and throw it over to you, Bobby. What you don't want to do is watch Jason Tatum rehab his ass off for a year and then come back to a team of scrubs and nobodies and a pissed off Jaylen Brown and Derek White and have to restart the whole thing in the middle of these guys' prime. Jason Tatum will be 28. Jaylen Brown will be 30. No, you want Jason Tatum walking into a ready-made, like you're at a 7.5. Jason Tatum takes you to a 9.5, and let's get another fucking championship in 2027. That's what they should be aspiring for. And the level of basketball and the type of basketball that they're playing should not be jacking up 63s a game at that point. They should have reinvented themselves over the next year. That's what I'm hopeful for. I think that makes the most sense. Hopefully the owner's ready to spend that money.
It 100% makes the most sense. Retooling and reinventing, and call it reloading, is 100% the move. You're not going to tank. They have too many good players. They wouldn't be able to get a pick that matters, and who the hell is going to be there? I mean, this year it's Cooper Flagg. and you don't know what it's going to be. You don't know if these guys are going to be any good, and drafting them, they take 3 to 4 years before they're anything. Look at Cade Cunningham. He was the number 1 pick like 4 or 5 years ago. Now he's finally good. Like drafting guys in the NBA, it means nothing. So they could win now. They got guys that are ready now. Tatum will be back and he'll still be ready to go now. Just keep the main core, bring in some guys that are new, that are young, that are fresh. Get rid of the guys with long vid. Get rid of old man Holiday. Get in some new people. And then, yes, let's learn how to play basketball instead of just passing jack threes.
Yeah, the trading for even Cooper Flagg, right? Like, even if Cooper Flagg does become a top 10 player in the NBA, to Bobby's point, that's 4 years, 5 years from now. Jason Tatum will be 32 years old. Jaylen Brown will be 34, and they're not going to wait for that guy. They're not going to wait for those draft picks to come back. Jason Tatum will be ready to win a championship next March. He should be, if everything goes according to plan, back at the level he is now in 2027, October of 2027, with the ass ready to prove that he's going to kick some fucking ass. And guess what? Everybody in America used to hate this guy. Everybody's going to be rooting for this guy. He's going to have the wind at his sails. Like, you cannot drop the ball here. And your biggest hurdle is new ownership, not wanting to spend the money, and your philosophy getting in the way of that. Brad Stevens and Joe Mazzula not allowing themselves to reinvent, even with Tatum off the floor for a majority of next year. Thoughts, Raymond? Final thoughts?
I just think that what you said, the second option, you just bring up the young kids and hopefully like J.D. Davidson, Peyton Pritchard, all the younger guys can just step into those roles and actually, build off of that. I don't think you need to blow up the nucleus. I think you got a nice little thing going here to get rid of Porzingis because he's been atrocious this whole postseason and this whole season, to be quite frank. I mean, like Bobby said, he has had this long-term illness that no one knows what the fuck it is, and it's just really throwing him off the loop. Even in the playoffs, when you need him the most, he just can't breathe. So, yeah, I think you just build what you got, maybe add a piece or two, and what?
Can't breathe.
The way you so flippantly said can't breathe.
Sorry. They took a deep breath. Last point on this, like if they do move into that, we're not tanking, we're not doubling, we're not dropping down at all. We're pushing forward with this team. Like I like Drew Holiday as a big piece in that championship. I worry that they will lean on him next year and not be willing to move him as part of that nucleus, and they still remain too attached to this team, and they can move Porzingis and Hauser and get enough salary off the books where they're comfortable, but Holiday stays. I think like a big piece that's not being talked about is getting rid of Drew Holiday to use his money to bring in somebody that will be more effective by the time Tatum's ready to play again. I think that's a big move that they could get something in return. So it'll be interesting to see if they tried penicillin.
Ray's mother tried my penicillin last night.
Oh, that's oof. We're gonna end on that one. That was a lot of Celtics talk. We'll be right back with 10 questions from a guy named Rob.